All right, and we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to LeadUpTeach on YouTube Live with myself, Heidi Veal, and Laura Gilchrist. I'm Elizabeth Bostwick, and I teach 4th grade in Horseheads, New York. I'm passionate about fostering a true love of learning within all students by immersing them in makerspace, PBL, and passion projects, while also inspiring them to ignite their shine. Tonight, we're excited to welcome LaVonna Roth, who is the founder and creator of Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E. She's also an international speaker, author, and consultant. Heidi, please take a minute and introduce yourself.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Heidi Veal, and I'm an early childhood administrator in North Texas. And I co-founded LeadUpTeach with Liz and Laura, and also ECE Chat. And that's a Twitter chat that happens every week. I'm passionate about leadership and innovative learning, early childhood education, of course. And Laura, before we dive into the interview any further, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself now?
You got it. My name is Laura Gilchrist. I'm a high school instructional coach and a longtime teacher in Kansas City. I'm passionate about designing learning experiences, schools, and cities around our kids so that they walk confidently into their futures. LaVonna, we are pumped to have you on tonight. By the way, LaVonna's username on Twitter and Instagram, it's at LaVonna Roth, just like it sounds, just like it looks. And her website you've got to check out is igniteyoursshine.com. LaVonna, we are ready to be inspired by you. Please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, it's great to be back. I'm so excited. Okay, so I am traveling right now. So if it looks like I'm in a bed, it's because I am. So I appreciate you working with me on that. But yes, no, LaVonna Roth here. I was a teacher for 10 years at the elementary and the secondary levels and really got interested in neuroscience, neuropsychology. Thought, okay, why doesn't every educator know this? And that was a plethora of a lot of the research I did and professional development, and my 8 books are all on that. I was like, there's something more to this that I really want to hit, and that's when Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E was born. So it's just been a whirlwind. It's been amazing. I get to work with so many, I call you edu-stars, you know, educational rock stars, but because of Twitter, I have to condense that to edu-stars because of characters, right? But I get to work with so many, and I love what I do. And I want to thank you ladies for, first of all, doing this as a service to every educator, every edu-star, because this is so valuable, all that you're doing every week to give a chance for guests to come on and host and share their insights. But we wouldn't have that opportunity without you. So I know there's a lot of work that goes into this, you know, a lot of time, and you are not paid for it. So I thank you so much from everybody, and especially myself, to say thank you for doing this, and thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you. Well, welcome, LaVonna. And we also want to give a special welcome to our LeadUpTeach audience here on YouTube and out there on Twitter. And we invite everyone to use the hashtag of LeadUpTeach to connect and participate with the chat, both during and after the conversation.
Great. LaVonna, thank you so much again for coming back. This is your 2nd time on LeadUpTeach, so we're pumped, super pumped. And you know, like you said, this is a labor of love for us, just like I know Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E is a labor of love for you. So to get us started, tell us a little bit more about your journey that led you to be the inspiring educator that you are today.
Oh, well, thank you, first of all, for saying I'm inspiring. So that's definitely a goal. So, you know, it has a lot to do with my path and from my struggles in school. And then I became a mom, and I watched my own daughter go through some struggles. And then having taught for 10 years, I watched my students have struggles. And a lot of those things just came to fruition. Like, I never, ever planned on being a teacher. Like, I thought, I'll never be a teacher. And I started out in psychology at first. And I knew that I wanted to do something with children, but I didn't know what. And I thought, oh, it would be psychology. And I really originally thought that it was going to be helping students who had alcohol and drug addictions. Realized is that I have a lot of empathy. My daughter, some other people may say at times, probably too much. I have a lot of empathy. And I thought, there's no way that I will be able to separate what happens when I work with children to then coming home and trying to have a home life, because I would be either adopting every child or bringing all of that home. So for some reason, apparently I thought education was the answer, which I absolutely love, but you bring it home with you. So I don't know. But, you know, it's watching all the children and, you know, what students go through and their home lives and their struggles, especially with learning. And I know for me, myself, you know, I was never tested. or anything. And I'm not saying I have a learning disability or anything, but I definitely think there's some comprehension issues that I have. But I struggled in school. Elementary, I rocked it out. You know, like it was great. And then by the time I got to middle school, it was not looking so good. And by the time I get to high school, I was actually seeing D's. And then I know you're gonna be blown away how impressive this is, but my first semester in college, I got a 1.2. I mean, that's good, right? Or not. So I was struggling big time, and I got into education, and I was like, this is it, because my GPA totally flipped. And I went, this is where I'm meant to be. And I went into deaf education to teach the hearing impaired, was where I started, and ended up being in regular education. But you had all of the struggles of myself, as a parent, as a teacher, and that's what just completely inspires me and ignites me to go out and do what I do. And I absolutely love it. I love working with you all.
Well, that was beautiful. So now let's segue into this. Please tell us about your Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E, and that's an acronym, S-H-I-N-E, and what inspired you to create it.
All right, so a little bit of what I was saying before with the struggles and challenges. So it was not originally called S.H.I.N.E. It was originally called SMART, because that's actually what I was going after, and I still am. It's a piece of what I want to see changed. Is I think that in education, we do this fantastic job of putting kids into that box. And that box is that reading, writing, math, and science. And I truly believe our students are way more than that. And I talk about this when I do my professional development, and I ask, how many of you agree, and hands go up, every hand, because we know our kids are more than that. It's not necessarily valued outside of that in education, and I would love to see that changed. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go after the word SMART and what we identify as smart in education. Because I think it's time we completely shift that, change that, so that, Laura, I think you talked about confidence in your bio, and that's something that I want to see more of, is our students being confident. Adults too, because we have work on ourselves, but definitely students. And so when I talked about the word SMART, it was interesting because when I was sharing it with a few people, they said to me, LaVonna, you're never going to change the definition of SMART. Honest, part of me was like, watch me. That's my personality. Challenge me. All right, let's go for it. No, I'm not going to let you stop me. It's, what if they're right? That doubt set it in. And I was like, okay, if that's settled in, then okay, there's got to be something. And so I thought about it, and then the word SHINE came to my head. And what's interesting is when the word was SMART, I knew what I wanted to add the acronym, but I could not figure out the acronym. But as soon as I thought of SHINE, I went, it's this, it's this, it's this. I knew exactly what it was.
Wow.
So the other part then was the word ignite. But I finally figured out ignite. And that was, first it was applaud your shine and celebrate your shine. And I was like, no. And then the word ignite. And I looked it up. It says to give life or energy to someone or something. So when I think about Ignite Your Shine, do you want to know what the acronym stands for?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So the letter S stands for self, because that's where you have to start. So that I spend most time talking to people about the letter S, because we have to have the mindset right, positivity. We have to understand what happens within the brain with looping patterns when we create trends within that. So S, but there's two major comparts of self, and that is strengths. And so we're looking at the strengths of people. Our students know all about their weaknesses. They can tell you from kindergarten through graduation exactly what their weaknesses are. Right? But we're focusing on the wrong thing. We should be focusing on what their strengths are to build that confidence and find what is their purpose to go after and their career to go after in life. Self, but it has to do with strengths, and then we talk about using that to serve. That's the second part. And when I say serve, I mean literally serve yourself too. Not just others, but serve yourself. Because especially as educators, you get to take care of yourself. So busy giving, and that's why we see mental health days on the rise. We see people taking more personal days. People are leaving the career, even though they love it, they're leaving the profession, right? At serving self to take care of you so you can take care of others. Now we have a win-win combination. All right, so that's S. It's a heavy one, it's a big one. And then we get to H, and H is heart. What is your passion? Together. So when I watch a video and I see these students high school kids who are, what is your passion? And there's like 50 of them on a video, and they all can't, none of them, not one can name their passion. So we need our kindergartners to be able to say, my passion's animals, my passion's my family. And when I worked with a whole school of fifth graders, we brought them into the cafeteria, and we set up all these stations for Shine and implemented that. And the number one answer was video games. And I'm like, oi, what do I do with video games? But then I thought, wait, let me ask, what about video games? And they started telling me the challenge. They started talking about how they could play alone or play with others. And I thought, okay, that's the attributes that we need to put in the classroom. Combination we ultimately want with students and adults. I always want to say both because, again, you have to take care of you too, is it's taking your strengths and pairing them with your passions. Two together, that's the powerful package. If you have one missing, it's off kilter. Then you get to the letter I, because we all have those bad days, but as I teach, they're not actually bad days or bad moments on that, because if something happens at 7 a.m., we automatically at 2 p.m. have written off the entire day still. It's been a bad day at 7 a.m. So what's inspiring? How do you stay inspired? How do you inspire others? Is it quotes, songs, people, artwork? What is it that inspires you? And then we get to the letter N. And the whole point of that is goal setting, story, journey. If you do nothing with your strengths and your passions and staying inspired, what's the point? Find what is it that I want to do in life? And what do I want that story to be? All of that, you get to E, and E is the result because it's exceptional. And you're becoming the exceptional person that you were meant to be, nobody else who you were meant to be. Let's ignite your shine.
I always love hearing about the letters and what they stand for. You know, they always really inspire me and get me excited to go into the classroom and work with my students with this. So,
do you work with kids? Do you work with students and teachers with Ignite Your Shine?
I do mostly professional development with teachers or district staff, because it's all about setting that culture and understanding that, you know, what we have to honor and value, not only amongst students, but amongst each other. But I'm getting more and more requests for student assemblies. I did some camps out in California this summer with high school kids. I'm getting ready to go to Texas to do assemblies for middle school. Yeah, because it's a chance to bring that language together and to just share with them from my heart and my passion as to why it was designed, and then to let everybody just take off and run with it.
Well, and this goes great with our next question too. So we already mentioned that this is your second time being on. So that was back in May of 2016, if you can believe it. I just think it's amazing how fast the time's gone by. But when you were last on, you shared a lot about Ignite Your Shine, but we'd love to hear what's evolved since May of 2016.
Okay, yes. I don't compare pictures. I probably have more wrinkles since 2016.
No, I don't.
Graceful. I've accepted it. Found it. No, gosh, since 2016. So professional development has expanded quite a bit. It was originally meant for only teachers. Like I said, it's now, you know, districts that I work with and students. So that's new. I have also created digital lessons. And so it's 15 videos of where I'm talking to the students and sharing with them the classroom, and I share with them what each letter means. And there's multiple videos for each letter, but then they also have a hands-on lesson that can be rolled out. And so Liz, I know that you've done some of them with your class, but it's an opportunity to bring everyone together and to have a chance to understand and to build that culture of, you know, okay, that's your strength. Well, guess what? That's my weakness. So maybe we can work together on this and you can help me. But what your weakness is my strength. And we really start building and bringing them together, students together, into, again, honor and value. Those are the two words that I absolutely love when it comes to, you know, relationships. And so the lessons, though, then it's all hands-on and dives deeper. And that was something I was super excited to create. And I was so excited when they're done. Though my concern that I sometimes have is people say, tell me about your program. And I'm like, no, it's not a program. You know, Ignite Your Shine is totally just a framework. It's something that gives you a way to look at strengths and passions and go through each of the components with your students. And that's all the lessons are. Like, it doesn't matter if you want to do the beginning of a lesson, you don't want to do them at all. You want to do the whole step by step, but it's a framework to be able to create that environment, that culture, to kick you off, to then roll with it on your own from that point. So that's been a big thing that I've worked on. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's, multi-days now. So professional development was one day, and now it's multi-days. And just the excitement of just the DMs that I get from people that have been through Ignite Your Shine and know what it's about and the impact. There's schools I walk into, so you all probably know about the bracelets, right? The Ignite Your Shine bracelet. And there's schools I walk into, and the whole classes will have them. And they go like this and they hold them up. And when I walk in, or I have students who say, like, I know one little girl, I won't say where at all, but one little girl, she has had a very rough life. Her parents have been arrested multiple times for drug use, and she's been removed from their care. And she saw me in the hallway and she's like, look, and she goes, I'm never taking it off. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, you know, just that what they feel and what they're gaining from it. And for them to be able to say, hey, I'm going to middle school next year, but I'm going to be me because I'm okay with who I am. That's what I want.
So
that
beautiful.
is a dream. So yeah, it's been developing, been busy.
Yeah. So you're helping teachers and kids just feel self-confident, and I can imagine that little girl with that bracelet, you know, just thinking about each one of those letters and giving her something to latch onto. I was in 2 classrooms today teaching kind of a leadership piece to kids to kick off a PBL, and so we went over. Everybody had kind of different views of what a leader was, and so then I went over, you know, leadership. Anybody can be a leader at any time, and you know, you have to include others, blah, blah, blah. And so the reflection piece, one of the biggest ones was kids said, I realize that I can actually be a leader, or I am a leader, but we don't talk, you know, so they don't see themselves as leaders, and we want them to. And that's what, you know, that's what you're working on. It's beautiful.
We just had that exact discussion literally 2 days ago where a teacher was talking to her students, and one of them said, okay, you keep referring to us as leaders. What is a leader?
Right.
And she was like, oh my goodness. We have so many things we talk about with kids that we don't ever define. So Laura, I'm so glad you're having that conversation. And it was high school, and I'm thinking, we always think by elementary, you know, by 3rd grade, 4th grade, they know what a leader is. Well, we even know by kindergarten because you're a line leader. But we never actually talk about what that is. And so that's so valuable. Thank you for doing that.
I think about what it is and the responsibility that comes with it. I think that's the piece that gets omitted, is that a leader has responsibility of service and care, you know, for the people they're with. So that's the depth that gets left out, probably.
Well, and even the influence too, you know, the positive influence, because a leader can have positive or negative influence. And that's important for kids to kind of wrap their minds around too.
A lot of the kids, they thought that to be a leader, they had to be bossy or in charge or with a title. And so the kids that are, you know, more shy, introverted, they don't believe they can be a leader. So we really have to label them as leaders and talk about, you know, specifics, you know, what you can do that lead. And you don't lead in everything, but you can lead in the classroom, in your school, you know, different places. Right. So anyway, I'm so passionate. I love what you're doing. And it just, gosh, what a gift to everybody that gets to be a part of this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, it's believe me, the reward just doing it it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
LaVonna, I'm curious, as you have increased sharing Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E with students and also extended to 2 days of professional learning, what have been the components of Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E that have resonated more with adults? And then what are the components that have resonated more with students?
Yeah, so that's interesting because, like I said, I originally meant for this for students. And what I quickly found out is teachers would come up to me and share their stories with me, or break down crying, or, you know, just say, I really needed to hear that. And that's what shocked me, because I didn't see that part coming, because I was so focused on the word smart as being the focus. And I realized, okay, that just blew up in a great way, you know, in front of me, saying it's way bigger than that and way deeper than that. And, you know, I even struggle with confidence at times, and we all do, depending upon what we're doing. You know, we're not confident in every aspect of our life, but especially younger to probably mid-30s. Hold on. I'm just kidding. To the mid-30s, you know, is that I lacked confidence, you know. And so hearing teachers come up to me, and that's why when people come for professional development, whether it's a keynote or a full day, 2 days, whatever, I tell them, some of you are going to walk away more with the personal side of things, like you needed it personally. And I truly believe that's what makes a better educator, is when you yourself are feeling great and confident, foster that in others. And so when that hit me, the biggest letter for most people is the letter S. And it goes back to self. You know, and I talk about having a circle of confidence, and it's also your comfort circle, and how important it is that we take a foot or even a toe or a little finger outside of that circle, because when you take that risk, your circle broadens, which means your confidence does as well. And I find so many adults that, you know, we all have our stories. You know, we talk about kids often, but as adults, we all have our stories, and there's things that still impact every single one of us, but we tend to not talk about it. So that's one of the things I have started doing, is sharing part of my personal story. I won't do it when it's recorded, but I will share my personal story to understand that I have those things. And that's what I found has really opened up the door to others to say, hey, now that you talked about it, I want to share a little bit about this. And I think sometimes we need to remember that students, with boundaries, but students need to know our stories too, because they need to know that, yeah, we've had things happen, but we overcame them. We still were successful. We worked through it in this way, and this became a lesson for us, or a benefit, or an opportunity, or strength. You know, a lot of it comes from those adversities. So it's the letter S primarily for adults. And then I must say for students, it's pretty much the same thing. I will say students really love the letter E, because it's a relief of going, but that goes back to the S in order to be the E. I mean, it's all of them, but the letter S primarily has to be there too.
That's great. I love hearing that perspective. So when you think about the impact that you want to have on education at large, how do you envision Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E transforming school cultures?
I have to laugh because the vision is ginormous.
Well, you've got to have a big vision.
Yeah, one of those, you know, they say if your dreams or your goals aren't big enough to scare you, then they're not big enough.
That's right.
So, yeah, and that's why everyone that I work with that wants to share Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E and bring it into their school classrooms, I call them illuminators. You know, because I can't do this by myself. It's going to take everybody, you know, to say, hey, let's change education. Let's get rid of looking at the weaknesses and beating kids up. Let's build up their confidence. Look at the strengths and such. But my ultimate dream, and there's a plan that's formulating, and I've got some high interest level in it. So we'll see if it comes through. But what I want is I want to revamp school to where students leave with going through, let's say, Ignite Your S.H.I.N.E, right, to understand these components so that they do build the confidence and the right mindsets, and they're ready to know how to take out a loan, to apply for insurance, like what insurance do I need, to buy a house, the things that they don't learn. Because when I sat with seven seniors at the end of this last year, and I was sharing S.H.I.N.E with just them and just picking their brains about a few things and talking, getting their perspective, not one of the 7 tell me what they were doing when they graduated, and they're graduating in 3 weeks. And that broke my heart. Like, I literally welled up in tears in front of them. I know that's not right. And one of them was already a teen mom, and she was already married. I need to buy a house, but I don't even know how to buy a house. And I thought, okay, we are setting this all up wrong. And so I shared my vision with them, and they were like, yes, you have to do this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's huge. And the one boy turns to me and he goes, yeah, but you can make it happen. It's up to you.
They're your lead.
And I said, I love your mindset. That's exactly right. And I said, so thanks for the kick in the tush, because yes. So it's not only just those 2 things with S.H.I.N E, but also whole learning, you know, life skills and such. But the third component is that I want students leaving knowing exactly what they want to do for the moment. I think everything shifts and change.
Right.
I have this model it's formulating, and not there yet, but where students have a chance to be exposed to many, many careers before they graduate from high school, to know no interest, had no idea that was available. Wait a minute, I can actually do that. How do I? That exposure to it, so that now when they leave us, they have much better idea. And it doesn't mean they have to go to college. I don't believe every student should go to college. I don't think college is for everybody. And it's one of those things that I've had come to realization in my own life, with some people in my life that said they weren't going to go to college. And I was like, wait, what? Because that's all I knew. And then to start thinking, wait a minute, there are so many successful people, and success is measured in different ways by different people, but they've been successful without going to college. And nowadays you don't have to. I mean, there are companies in Silicon Valley that are hiring high school students for $125,000 to start. So that if you're looking at monetary value, $125,000 to start to not go to high school, because they don't want them trained. They don't want them in that thinking, to be put into a box of thinking. So there are shifts and changes, and I think there's so much opportunity for students, but they're not exposed to that.
You know,
There's so much that we could revamp.
I see with kids that's missing is they think they have to be developed. It's kind of like PD teachers. They think they have to wait to learn things like in college or wherever. And no, YouTube, go, you know, study, get on fire, you know, but you can learn so much and be ahead of the game on your own. And it's that agency, entrepreneurial mindset also that they need to realize.
Well, and I think too, like, helping students to be able to identify their strengths and their passions is a key component, because in school we oftentimes focus on the content and the curriculum that students need to learn, but it's not always infusing what they're interested in within their passions. So I think that could totally shift the outcome of where students come out of high school.
Yeah. Right. If you think about it, I don't know about you ladies, but for example, I was not strong in math. And matter of fact, it wasn't until I went to college that a professor was teaching us how to teach math, and he put manipulatives in front of me, and that was the first time I began to understand math, because I could actually see it, right? But because of not loving math and still not being a huge fan of it, I like to teach it because I struggled like a lot of my students did, so I enjoy teaching it. But I was not going to choose a career in math because that's not my strength. It's not my passion either. So to become an accountant or someone that works a lot with math and numbers, but yeah, we force kids, and I'm not talking about basic skills, I'm talking about beyond that, but we force kids to learn at high levels of math. But why? Why do they have to have all of that if most likely they won't go into it? And if they do go into a career that requires it, now the relevancy is there. Now the reason to learn it is there. Now the motivation, okay, bring it, let me learn this. But we have this concept that they have to know all of these things before going, and things that they may not even ever need.
Yeah.
Are you going to get me on a soapbox?
I know, it's great. All right, question 5. What are ideas or tips you have for educators on how they can ignite their own shine so that they, you know, are happy and excited and inspired?
Yeah, take 5 vacations a year.
I'll agree with that.
That should be. I do agree with that. So I think a lot of it has to do with looking at your own strengths and passions and make sure you're putting plenty of that in, you know, especially passions. You know, education is a passion. I mean, some of the money, but I'm going to put my money down that's probably not it, right? It's the passion, which means you also put so much into it. Like we said, bringing everything home, and you continue to always think, what strategy could I have done? How could I reach this student? Okay, what if I had done this different? So what other professional development can I go to? It's always what more and more and more can I do? And so drawing that line in the sand, like when I work with new teachers at the beginning of the year, like new teachers, I share with them, you have to draw that line in the sand, because if you don't, this is a passion that will take over every second of your life, that you will still feel that you didn't do enough. I'm going to draw that line in the sand. And I heard one of the original Shark Tankers, Kevin Harrington. With him, there's about 60 of us, and he was sharing some of his successes and things. And he said a life-changing thing for me, and I will share it with all of you because I highly recommend it, especially as an educator. He said, schedule everything. And I was like, schedule everything? He said, schedule your work, schedule your family. Now, my sister's in the same seminar with me, and she'd been saying this forever, so she turned and gave me a look like, are you listening? And I'm like, I'm the big sister, turn around. No, I didn't say that. But I was like, looked at her and I said, okay, I hear, I'm now listening. But here's what he said that changed it for me. He said, you want to know why I do that? He said, because I release guilt. He said, when I'm working, I don't feel guilty about not having time with my family because they're scheduled. And when I'm with my family, I can let go of work because my time for that is scheduled. Changer for me. And I've also included time for me. I stopped feeling guilty about having LaVonna time. I am a more happier person. I feel more relaxed, well-balanced now than anything. So educators, draw a line in the sand, make some time for you, work on the S, build your passion in. And I'm not talking about passion that you do with family and friends even. Your passion. What are those things that you've put to the side that you no longer do? Bring those things back into your life, and you're going to feel so much better.
Love that. Okay, well, we would love to have you share one thing that you would like Lead Up teachers to walk away with or go out and do to make a difference and shine.
So with your students, of a tough one, because I feel like those of you that are watching Lead Up Teach, this probably won't apply to you. But at the same time, I'm going to say it. Each student has a story. It doesn't, and here's the thing. I am concerned because in education, we get cliche words. We're sick of hearing them. They're taboo. And I'm worried that the word story is going to become one of those. And I think it's critical that we make sure that doesn't happen. But know every student's story, because everybody is acting a certain way, saying certain things, doing certain things. You know, we all have, for example, that colleague, names or anything, but that colleague who drives us crazy. Story, right? When we have students and you're looking at a student and you're like, seriously, could you be absent one day? You don't say that, of course. You're thinking that, right? One day, just give me a 1 day break. And that's human. We realize that. Story. And are we really honing in on that and bringing that in to what we do? Because it's not an excuse for how students behave or colleague behaves, but it is critical to know those stories and to really understand that. So if we understand that, now we can use that, you know, and use that in a great way to a benefit. To, if that's your passion, I could pull that passion into the classroom. And I know your story that I can help bridge some of those things together. And that culture, man, I'm telling you, I can guarantee bullying and violence would reduce suicide possibly. I know there's mental health things there too that go into that, but there's so much value to this that I just know their story and implement shine. Honor the whole child, the whole person.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing
really
the little guy.
It's really about creating it as part of your culture and part of the daily language, it sounds like, too.
Absolutely. And everyone being on the same page with that and understanding that, because the brain doesn't go into a state of learning if it's heightened with worried about safety, worried about does my teacher like me or not. You know, the brain literally, or whatever it's coming from, we have to transition kids from that. And so when we know their story, we can help with that, but then also create that learning environment, that culture where, you know, people in the past, I've heard, I don't hear as much now when I get calls, you know, or hey, can you come to Ignite Your Shine? It used to be, well, we want you to do just the brain stuff. Culture has to be before even the brain stuff, which it's a part of it, the brain stuff. But I mean, like, strategies and your teaching, because if you don't have that culture, you can teach all day long, but it doesn't mean that they learned it. And teaching and learning, as we know, are totally different. They're complementary, but they're different.
When you say story, that always leads me to think of empathy, because when I hear stories, I get new perspectives, and that helps me have more empathy.
And I think that's critical.
And in my own experience, one thing that I've noticed is that students will challenge you. And I've found that when they really understand that I understand their story, when we're connecting through their story, I find that they challenge less because now they feel like you understand them with that empathy too.
Like if a student's not doing work, it's not just they're lazy. You know, there's what behind that. Is it they don't have time home because they're raising studies? Right? There's so many other, and we could go on and on about that. There's so many things there, but find out their story. And again, it's not allow you to be an excuse. You hold them accountable, but you do at least know the reason why. Like, don't just leave it, well, they're not doing work, I'm giving them an F. No, why? Have that conversation, have that heart to heart to find out, because it could be a simple little tweak or response from you that makes the difference.
Absolutely. I love what you've shared tonight, LaVonna. As we wrap up, share what's coming up next for you in the future.
Wow. To present in Hawaii in February. So excited.
That's incredible.
Fun one. I've never been to Hawaii. Yeah, so that's
on my bucket list.
Yes, same here, same here. And then personally, I will share too that I have, my daughter will be graduating this year, so she's a senior.
Oh,
yes.
Congratulations.
That's exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's that. And then just continuing to listen to what educators have to say and the needs and how can I help, and continue to build that. And we're expanding, you know, Ignite Your Shine to be where it's, you know, thought leadership and forward thinking, but adding in coaching components. So if culture is an issue, you're struggling, how do we add in the coaching aspect to that to help? And so there's already, you know, been a little bit of that and some past work that I've done too, but how do we make that more specific? And it's just, you know, what is it that educators need? You know, if there's a way that we can help, that would love to add that as a part of our future.
Well, fantastic, LaVonna. Thank you for joining LeadUpTeach tonight. I know our audience enjoyed hearing about your personal journey and Ignite Your Shine. And a huge thank you to our amazing audience who tuned in tonight to LeadUpTeach.
Yes, and we will be sharing out the link to tonight's LeadUpTeach episode on Twitter using the hashtag of LeadUpTeach.
And between now and our next episode, we encourage you all to continue to connect with one another. Tweet using hashtag LeadUpTeach on Twitter. Feel free also to check out the rest of our LeadUpTeach videos on YouTube on our LeadUpTeach channel, or also in the iTunes store, we have a podcast. And so you can listen to the different interviews while you're on the go. LaVonna, it has been a pleasure to speak with you tonight and learn about what's new in your world, and especially with the power behind Ignite Your Shine.
Thank you for having me, and thanks again for all you do. And educators, EduStars who are listening or watching this later, thank you for all that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Good night, all. Lead on and lead up.